Hey guys, welcome to another. I can't speak. It's been so long since I made a video, and now I'm just like, ooh, I'm making a video like this. I'm like, ooh. But hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of life, everyday life. Not mine, just everyone's life. So I normally like to keep my videos pretty out of politics, out of real life, just because I don't like. The whole thing with me making videos is that it is a means of I can't speak. It's an escape. Like, you come here to actually just like escape life and not have to think about things. You come here for a laugh. You come here to be entertained. I'm here to entertain you. That's why I do what I do. That's why initially I started this, to make people happy, to keep people entertained. But with issues like this, issues that's what's going on in the world, you can't just ignore it. And I don't want to ignore it as well, too. Like, I can't just stay silent when I have a platform. And yeah, I don't have a lot of people following me, whatever. But if I can get some of my voice out there to clear things up for some people, in order to help people not remain ignorant and keep people educated, then it's my duty to do so. That's anyone's duty. Like, if you have the power to educate someone, you have to use it. That's just how you should live your life. You have to help other people. People are different. People are strange. People are weird. People are a mess, but people are beautiful. People are individual. People have such a beautiful way of thinking, such an amazing spirit, and everyone has the potential to be good and remain good and to help someone else. So the reason why I'm making this video is because of everything going on in the world, obviously. We had the whole thing with, the virus, which I guess everyone's taking a backseat on. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing going on right now. But this video is started because everything that happened with George Floyd. And a lot of people think that this whole thing started because of him. Like, because of his murder, which news sources will say not murder. No, it's murder. When you take someone's life, it's murder. That's just the name. Let's get the word out there. It's murder. He was murdered. When something like that happens, people think that this is the incident that started it. Like, this is what started the protest. This is what started the riots. This is what started all the police brutality going on, like, right now in the United States. It's not. This is only an instance of something that's been going on for years. This has always been a thing. This has always happened. This is something that might continue to happen unless something is done. And that's why people are protesting right now. Because let me tell you about, the start of this country. Because this is something that is brought up a lot. Like, everyone's always just like, the American Revolution, that using that as an example for, fighting for freedom and anything. The American Revolution happened because rich white people who lived in this country didn't want to pay another rich white guy. They just didn't. They were just like, you know what? Let's not have to give our money out. Let's not do that. Let's give our money to us. Let's give our money to ourselves. That's basically what it was. And which is why when this country was first founded, and this is the actual historic facts, I'm a history nerd. When this country was first founded, people didn't care about a revolution. People didn't care about rebelling because there was how does this affect me? It doesn't. Just why do I care who I'm paying my taxes to? It's whatever. But after years of propaganda and persuasion, literally bribes, a lot of bribes happened. The American Revolution happened. The American Revolution happened, and they were just like, okay, cool. So let's make a new government and system in favor for us, in favor for what we do, in favor for, the American people. Sure, they're individual. They already were, kind of, basically. That's the whole thing. Just, we, sell the idea that, we're fighting for freedom. We're fighting for, we're fighting for this cause to have the chance to be individuals, to have liberties, when they already had it. They did, but whatever. It's on a declaration now. But it mostly was in favor of the people who were considered people at the time, because Native Americans, they weren't people. They were just indigenous beings who were savages and lived on the country until we kicked people out, and that's why 80 million people are dead because of that, which is genocide, by the way. That's genocide. Native Americans, we were genocide. Why? And there's no way to go around that. Black people were property. Black people were property. They weren't people. They were slaves. Slaves were property. You own them. You take ownership of them. You're just like, okay, well, you're not a person. You're basically the same equivalent as a dog or just like a pet. A pet who serves me and does whatever I want. This country has always been founded on the idea that rich white people and rich white men specifically were superior. And that follows, since that was the foundation of our country, that followed for years and years and years and years and years. I remember going to history classes, like growing up, and just like, we hear about the American Revolution, and we just hear just like, the country's founders that were just like in favor for the American people, in favor for us, in favor for making change, and they were seen as the heroes, and just like Christopher Columbus was a good guy who discovered America, and just like all these other things that aren't true. Because back then we didn't have access to the internet. We didn't have access to social media. People weren't posting their ideas, their voices, their perspectives. Like things were different then. Things were not as educated as they are now. And people can educate themselves. But because of that, because of people had that perspective, like throughout years and years and years of just like perspective, just like, these white people are heroes. White people are superior. White people are, the systematic goal in life. Like, you want to be a white person, basically. That's how it was. Like, no one really saw that, and that creates what I call white ignorance. White ignorance is when you are completely ignorant of other racial classes outside of the white perspective. It's like you always known the white perspective, what you grew up with. You don't really pay attention to your privilege. You don't understand that you have privilege. You don't understand that, you don't have to worry about like being racially profiled. You have to worry about leaving your home and just like, one day you might run into a cop and just like, that's it. You won't be coming home. Like, you don't have to wake up with fear because of your race. You don't have to wake up just like questioning life and just like looking in the mirror and not thinking that you're good enough and not thinking that people will like you because people will see you as ugly because you're not white. These are things that have affected a lot of people who have been a minority. And I remember there was a point in my life where I'm just like, especially in middle school, because like I went to a suburban environment where just like majority of people, it's pretty diverse, but it's like majority of people were white. And I remember just being just like looking at my features and being just like, maybe things could change. Maybe things are different. Maybe my nose can be less flared. Maybe my nostrils can be smaller. I remember actually thinking that exact word. But then I learned that it really doesn't matter what other people think, and it's about me. That was about self-acceptance for myself. But it's not that like that for other people, because we live in a society that's more based towards white people. Just that's how it's always been. But with ignorance, especially white ignorance, or any form of ignorance in general, you have two choices. You can either learn from your mistakes, and I know a lot of celebrities who have done blackface in the past and said the N-word and just like not understood like the privilege that they had. They have either apologized about it and learn from their mistakes, actually like try to be better people, listen to other people's voices, listen to other people's perspectives, know that what they're doing or have done in the past was wrong, and have the ability to change. That's what you want to do. That's the people who grow, develop, because people always grow. People are always developing. People are always changing. Like, we can't say the same people we've always been, because we're not those people anymore. Like, as individuals and also as a whole community. Like, people always grow. Things change. You have to change with things because you can't stay the same. And then there's people who choose to stay the same. They think their way of thinking is fine. Their whole system works for them. They don't understand why people don't understand their perspective, that they have the same mentality, that they don't feel like they have to change. And that's the issue with this country, is that because we were founded on the beliefs that, white rich men were superior, that carried out until now. Like, this country is 300 years old, and we're still follow the same policies. We have adapted, we've changed with the freedoms and liberties of other people, but that was a struggle. That was hard. That was something that was done up until recently. Like, a lot of people don't really think about perspective. Like, we go back and we think just like, okay, yeah, slaves and there's like civil rights, that was years ago and everything. Someone's great-great-grandmother, no, someone's great-grandmother, not even great-great, someone's great-great-grandmother was in Africa. Someone's great-grandmother, a slave. Someone's grandmother at this point was fighting for civil rights because they weren't considered a person. Someone's parent was fighting for civil rights and discriminated against. Like, we don't put things in perspective that all that happened only a few years ago. Like, in the whole timeline of this country, those things happened a few years ago. Not centuries ago, not eons ago, years ago. Gay people, we just got the right to get married in, 2011? Really? Like, women got the right to vote not that long ago either. Like, everything was happening relatively around the same era after this whole expansion of the entire timeline of the country and the whole lifespan of the country. All this, like, relatively happened recently. I'm just like, maybe other things should change as well too. Like, let's say, I don't know, police brutality and tactics against people who are oppressing, people who are going against being oppressed by the government. Maybe we should change. Maybe we should adapt. Maybe we should be better. And that's the issue, is that people aren't choosing to be better. Because I see this, like, everything, and depending on where you go to, like, the sources change and the perspective changes. Like, if you go to news, it's relatively neutral. Just like everything's just like voices from the police, voices from the people being like the protesters, just like it's the neutral zone, essentially. Like, news is just like everything's swirled together. So you can take that any way you want. You can take that wherever you want to swing it. Then you have Instagram, where you see people not really knowing what's happening. I've looked. I'm just like, people don't really know. People don't know what's happening. People are only seeing perspective of the people who are looting. People are seeing the perspective of people who are cops. People are seeing the people who just do it for clout, who are just like, hey, I'm fighting for a cause, like me. And then they just immediately leave after they get their Instagram photo. And I'm just like, this is crazy. And then Twitter, you've actually been able to see, and people have got recorded evidence of just the police brutality happening. You have seen people being treated terribly by the people who are sworn to serve and protect. People are dying in the street. People are getting shot at. Like, this is all happening in the year of 2020. And it hasn't changed. That's the issue. Is that you can exchange, like, the footage of what we're seeing now with everything that happened in the 1960s. Hell, you can take that perspective and go all the way to the 1920s. And just, it can keep going down the line. It just seems like nothing's changed. And that's why people are protesting. Because there is no change. No one's developing. People are different now. We are more expansion. We are, like, we have thoughts. We have feelings. And that's why Black Lives Matter exists. Because we want to say that, hey, Black Lives Matter also matter. Black lives also matter. We want to say that Black lives matter. We want to say that Black lives are important. We want to say that we can wake up in the morning and not be in fear of our lives. It's like whether we go outside and we get shot or killed. Like, Black Lives Matter is just saying that Black lives also matter. Black lives are important. Black lives are lives. They have dreams. They have goals. They have ambitions. They want to be treated equally. This is Black Lives Matter. Of course that all lives matter. That goes without saying. I think I've made a video about this before where I talked about it. Like, of course all lives matter. All life matters. All human life matters. Just like everyone deserves to go for their dreams. Everyone deserves to go for their goal. Everyone deserves to live their best life. Everyone deserves to be happy. So why can't Black people want that as well? That's Black Lives Matter. That's what it is, in case you were confused. Blue Lives Matter. A lot of people don't know this. I don't really talk about my family or anything, or just like in general my childhood. Blue Lives Matter. Okay. My father was a detective, just like my uncle, my cousin. Just like, I grew up in a police environment. I grew up like with family friends who are police officers, who are like the nicest people ever. And a lot of people are the same way. They grew up and they know that there are nice cops. They know that cops are nice people. Cops are people. Cops have dreams and ambitions as well too. And cops are just like, people just like you and me. Except the system's not. The system is a system. And that's what people don't understand. So The system is in favor of white people, and that's just how it is. Because someone growing up in a police environment and just like going to police stations, riding a police car, just like knowing how the system works and seeing the system inside and out as a child up until now, I can tell you firsthand that Blue Lives Matter is the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life, because it makes no sense. Because at the end of the day, you were born black. You were born with the unfortunate like ability to be racially discriminated against. You are born different. You're born seeing that you won't fit into a white society. You're born thinking that just like, hey, maybe my facial features, maybe the way I look, maybe my appearance, maybe just like how I was born, maybe that was wrong. Maybe. Because we live in a white environment made for white society. That's just how it has been, and it's been better. We've definitely got better. We totally got better. But except the system is still not in favor for everyone. And when I hear Blue Lives Matter, all I think is that's so stupid, because you're not born a cop. You're not born a cop. Yeah, cool. Blue Lives Matter, but except what is a blue life? Who is blue? What? Here's the thing. It's a hat and a badge. You can just not wear those. You can just not be a cop. You can not be a cop, and then that's it. And then a lot, like I said before, like my father, my uncle, my cousin, just like, and those family friends I had that were cops growing up, who were the nice people, are retired now. They're not cops anymore. They're not. They're doing their own thing. They're running their own businesses. They're just like living off their pension. And I'm just like, they're not cops anymore. They aren't no longer blue. Black? You're black forever. There's no changing there. So when I hear Blue Lives Matter, I'm just like, that's stupid. You're stupid. Why? It's the dumbest thing that I've heard in my life. And if you don't understand why that is, I don't understand how you don't understand. Like, and when I see these police carry out these orders to beat on these protesters and to like just frame protesters as well too. I saw them breaking into buildings. I'm just like, what is happening? And just like these police officers shooting and choosing to do that. It's a choice. You are choosing to do that. You're choosing to execute on those orders. You're choosing to take advantage of people who can't fight back. You're a bully. You're choosing to be a bully. You're choosing to do this. You're choosing to hurt people. You're choosing to kill people. You're choosing to just take lives of other people. You're choosing this. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to you. You can stop being a cop. You can. You can get another job. Hell, just join fucking, I don't know, do the next step, join the military. I don't fucking care. Just like, you are choosing to be a cop. You're not choosing to be black. And so when I hear Blue Lives Matter, I get upset. I get sad. I just think, wow, this is the dumbest thing I heard in my life. And you can't help but do anything but laugh. Because it's so stupid. I hate it. I really do. And I'm not doing this whole like thing out of like propaganda or anything. Just like saying, just like, you know, I swing one way more than the other way, or just like I'm just like trying to convince everybody, just like, oh my God, just like fight for freedom, fight for power. No, I am just saying that as human beings, it's our job to change. It's our job to adapt. It's our job to include everybody. That's equality. That is the inclusion of everyone with equal acceptance. That's that's what equality really is. And that's the thing that I fight for. That's the thing I want. That's the thing I want to see this country be. And I feel like our next steps, that's what's important. Because people are protesting in the streets. People are signing petitions. We are doing what we can to just get the voices heard. The voices are heard. We have... the voices are heard now. They are. Like, we have got attention. We have gotten the spotlight. We have been seen. People are seeing us. People are knowing, just like, hey, we are here. This is what's wrong. But how do we fix that? That's the next step. People are focused on getting their voices heard, but we are not planning for the next step. And that's the issue, is if you perform just on actions and feelings, and I'm a very empathetic person, so I literally most of my life is acting on feelings. Most of my relationship is just because of feelings. But if you go on just feelings, you can go into something without an end goal. And when there's no end goal, things get messy. Things are unorganized. Things just get chaotic. And that's how these whole things with like looting happen. And now people are associating looting with the protesters and the protest and the message. And I'm just like, no. The actions of those few people taking advantage of a situation isn't what's happening and why this is happening. That's just people, and that is people who don't even know what's happening. People who don't even know the issues or anything behind it. They're just like, I want some free things. I want a free TV. Let's go into this hot topic. And I'm just like, who's looting a hot topic? Like, who? And it's insane because of those few people, the people who are speaking, the people who are silently protesting, the people who are just like actively doing something are not being seen in the spotlight anymore. Attention's going to them because like they can take that and rewrite a narrative, because all the media and everything, it's different perspectives. Like Twitter is perspective, from what I got, Twitter is more perspective of the people and people who are out there doing what they can. Instagram is people who are doing things for clout and just want free stuff, and they're just like, hey guys, so like Black Lives Matter, here's my butt photo. And then you have the news, which is essentially neutral because it's the voice of everybody at the same time. So it's like you can lean either way with that, but it's all about perspective. But the issue with the protest is that there's no clear direction on what has to be done. What has to be done is we have to ask for a complete reformation of the system. We have to be able to rewrite just like the qualifications to be a police officer. Because let me tell you, the qualifications to be a police officer, especially when my father was a cop, you don't have to have the best education. You don't. Especially with like prisons as well too. They specifically look for the dumbest people they can find to be in a prison. Like to work in a prison. Depending on your county, your state, just like your environment, the qualifications to be a police officer, the qualifications to work in a prison, it's all different. It's all different. It's not the same thing, and that's the issue. Just like we aren't the same thing. Some people are actually looking for people who are aggravated and people who are ignorant, and just someone who's easy to follow orders. And one of the first things when they go into training and they go into these facilities and stuff is that they take away your individuality. They take away what makes you you in order so you can fit into a system. You can be just another fucking Lego block in a system without questioning it. Because you can be manipulated, you can be told whatever, you can be asked to do whatever, and you will never question it because you are a mindless drone. You're a drone. You're a droid. That's it. You're a robot, and that's what they want. That's what they look for essentially for cops, is someone who can just do and execute orders without a second thought. You're basically a stormtrooper. So that's the issue. We need to change that. So that's what I think our focus should be. And that's what I think the focus should be on. You need to focus on that. You need to focus on reforming that. The system that makes this. The system that allows people who murder people because of their race or their skin color or just because they exist, and that these police officers are just power-hungry bullies who grew up and just decided to take it out on some helpless other person. People have to be held accountable for their actions in general. Just as human beings living in a society, especially when you have power, you have to be held accountable for your actions. And you have to be able to listen to reason. You have to be able to understand that. And if they can't get people who are compassionate on the force, then they shouldn't be there. Because if you're sworn to serve and protect, you're sworn to serve and protect everyone. You're sworn to help everyone, not just yourself. Not to take advantage and not to live out some fucking weird militia fantasy that you had where you're a fucking hero for doing the bare minimum. We have to reform the system, and we have to reform the government in general as a whole, because that hasn't really changed as well too, with as well as society has progressed. But we have to start with the system where this keeps happening. This is always a thing, and nothing is being done about it. I know we had body cams before, but hey, you can turn them off. That spoiler alert, you can do that. Some have been told to. And the problem is we have people in power who don't listen to other people. And now we have voices being heard, but they're putting their finger in their ears and pretending we don't exist. That's the problem, is that we don't have a leader who actually is compassionate, understands other people, and actually is in favor for changing in order to adapt to those other people. Like, we don't have a coherent leader, which was my number one issue when this whole thing happened with the election. I'm just like, a lot of people had different reasonings for this, like who they want to win, and I'm just like, he is an actual idiot. This is a joke. What is happening? And here we are. Here we are in 2020. I'm just like, oh, cool. The thing that I thought was going to happen did happen. So I'm like, oh, cool. Here we are. We basically have a leader who just doesn't do anything in favor for people, in favor for the working class, in favor for people just trying to survive in society. Like, we don't have anyone to listen. We have no one to make the change. And that's the issue. We have to make that person want the change. Make that person listen. Make that person just stop. Just see the actions and stop and ask for reformation. We have to organize. We have to organize so people can look at us and know the message and just not be able to like take what they want and manipulate the perspective. Because that's all it is. It's manipulating the perspective in order to fit favor of what you see. And that's what's been happening. Like, people are focusing on the looting because they're just like, oh, see, this is what the protest is doing. It's causing harm to the community. It's hurting people. Meanwhile, I'm just like, those looters? Those people probably have nothing to do with the protesters at all, whatsoever. They're just whatever. So we have to organize. We have to strategize. We have to actually have written demands. We have to have demands on what we want. We have the idea out there. We have the idea. And that's what everyone's saying. Just like, we want equality. We want to be seen. We want to be treated as equals. We have to fight. But if you don't have a goal for what you're fighting for, it's going to go nowhere. And that's been the issues in the past. You have to have a goal. You have to have written set demands. You have to be able to negotiate for those demands. You have to try to work for actually fighting. You have to work for getting those done. And that's my only issue so far with the protesting, that and the looting. But like, you have to demand that the judicial system changes and adapts in favor of actual equality and persecution of people who are taking advantage of the system. Demand that the hiring process is different and actually favors people who are actually compassionate about helping other people. That should be the main focus. Helping other people. That's why people are able to say, I have a friend that's a cop and he's great. I know individuals who are cop and they're great. Not all cops are like this. Yeah, not all cops are like this, but the system is correct. Not all cops are bad. Not all cops are bad. No, not at all. But those individuals who are following orders that hurt and just like destroy the lives of other people and just like take the lives of other people, those are the people. That's the problem. Those people are the problem. And the people who are good cops should be able to say no to execute orders. They should be able to say no when they look at someone and be like, you know what? I don't want to hurt this person. We shouldn't be able to hurt this person. We need a change. These people should be able to change and stop and influence the people who aren't willing to change. And people who aren't willing to change should not be cops. We don't have a system that gets rid of the problem. So demand that the system that, hires these cops stop the process right there. Make sure they never become cops. Make sure they never have a badge. Make sure this never happens. And if it does happen, they need to be filed and charged just like everybody else. Which brings to the other demand that needs to be done. It's just like equality in the judicial system so that people who are, Black, African American, Latino, just like any minority, isn't seen as an immediate criminal because they're like pulled over. We need complete equality in the judicial system so that, people aren't just like discriminated against because of their race. People aren't, you can't be Black and just like run a stop sign and just get 3 shots in your back. Or just like you just get immediately charged with drug charges for like maybe smoking once. Meanwhile, fucking the white guys in high school are just like literally dealing meth and nothing's being done to them. We need equality. We need a system that works in favor for everyone. That's the problem. We have to demand that we get that. How are we going to get that? There has to be inflection on just like what we're going to do and what changes need to be made in order for that to happen. Because saying that you want change doesn't mean anything if you don't have any perspective on how to do so, or what needs to be changed, or just like what exactly needs to be different in order for things to work. And we have to have a leader that listens. We have to have someone that actually listens to us, and someone that gets our voice heard and can sign off on these things. Like if not him, then someone. We have the Senate, we have senators, we have governors, just like we have means to do so. So if one person's not listening to us, then direct it towards everybody else who can. That's just how we should do it, because that guy's in a bunker and he ain't coming out. And I'm just like, this is, wow, 2020 is a year. 2020 is a fucking year. And I know someone who's like really into the numbers and stuff, and they even pulled out just like, the statistics on just like, white on white crime, white on black crime, just like everything, like the numbers for just like, racial crimes. And he pointed out that based on the numbers, just like there's more crimes on just like, white people against white people and black people against black people, than it is for actual just like white against black crimes, which I guess, okay, based on numbers, that could be true. But the issue is that we have a system that, one, doesn't really register all that, because like some of the hate crimes and things that go on, the murders, aren't registered, they aren't documented, and nothing is done about them. So those numbers are automatically faulty, because just like there are murders and just like crimes and hate crimes that happen in this country that aren't reported and aren't documented. So those numbers are a bit biased and faulty. And even if that is true, that doesn't change that we have a system that favors it so that these crimes can continue to happen. We can work in our own community. Like, black people can change the community and just like, have a voice and like actually put this effort out there to stop black on black crime. Yeah, that can be done. That is. But right now, the focus is on systematic racism and the political parties responsible for that. That's the focus right now. That's what we need to focus on. That's the issue. Anyway, this was a long video, but it was just, I just couldn't stay silent. I couldn't not get my opinion out there. And I made this so I can actually think about my own thoughts and process my own information and just like be able to just vent and just like actually get things out there, because this is exhausting mentally for so many people. Like, I had a game night with my friends and we were just like relaxing and enjoying life, and we were just like, we don't have to think. We don't have to think about what's going on in the world for this one instance, because it affects all of us. Like, my friends are some beautiful black women, and I love them. They're beautiful, they're educated, they're smart, they're some of the greatest people you can ever have, as not only just friends, but as family. I love them with all my heart. And this just breaks everyone's heart, because what's stopping this from happening to anybody else? I mean, what's stopping this from happening to any member of my family, their families, our family? That's the issue. That's why it hurts me so much, because this is something that has always been a thing, and nothing's ever being really done to it. We just live in a continuous pattern where just like someone dies because of police brutality, and then we protest, and then nothing is done, and it happens again and again and again. This needs to stop. This just needs to end. And it hurts. It really does. Because I remember growing up and being followed by police officers, being followed by store clerks, just thinking that I was going to steal, being racially profiled. I remember being in middle school and not being able to hang out with one group of friends because I was different from them. They didn't like people they didn't know, or from the outside, because I didn't fit in with them. I didn't feel like I belonged for a long time because of my race, my ethnicity, like who I was, what I looked like. It just hurts. It really does. So yeah, we need to change. We need to adapt. We need to be better. As a society, as a country, We just need to be better. Anyway, that's it for this video. I can go on for years, but this is already long and I have to edit it together. I love you all. I love you all, and please just stay safe. And please look out for each other. Do whatever you can to just make sure that everybody is okay. Because at the end of the day, I just want everyone to be okay. I want everyone to be all right. I want everyone to have the ability and chance to be happy. Like, that's all I ever wanted. I just want people to be able to live their life fair. And yeah, I know we're never going to live in a society where we have complete equality about everything. We're just not. We're never going to live in a society where everybody can have the ability to have their dreams fulfilled. But we can come close. We can have the chance. And that's what I'm asking for, is the chance to have that. All right, so I love you all. Stay safe, and I will see you later. Stay awesome.